Okay, so today we're going to look at recording your screen, both screenshots and screen recording on iPadOS and iOS. It's going to be interesting because in order to be able to demonstrate screen recording, you can't share your screen. So I've had to set up a camera that's pointed at a screen. So the resolution is not going to be as good as if it was a direct injection into the computer, but it's not too bad. But I am going to have to do a little bit of changing settings as we go through the presentation, so please bear with me. And I also have to juggle my screen to see my notes and to see you guys at the same time as well. So let's kick straight into it. I'm going to share my iPad screen. The fundamental way is by a couple of button presses. It depends what device you've got as to how you can take a screenshot. So if you've got an iPad that's got a home button, one of the older iPads, you press the sleep wake button and you press the home button and release them at the same time. That will take a screenshot. If you've got a newer iPad that doesn't have a home button, you press the sleep wake button and the volume up button and release them at the same time. Now, the thing I have to stress that it's the release action that takes the photo and not the pressing action. Because a lot of people press it and hold it down and wait for it to take a picture. You remember that if you hold the sleep wake button down for a long time, it'll prompt you to shut your iPad down. So you don't want to do that. So I've got an iPad Pro without a home button. So if I want to take a screenshot of what's on my screen, I press the sleep wake and the volume up button and release. There you go. You can see a little mini version of my screen. If I don't do anything with this right at the moment, you'll see it go off the side of the screen. And at that point, what it's doing is it's saving it to my photos library. So I can take a picture of just about anything that I want to do on the screen. So that's one picture at a time. If I want to take multiple pictures, watch what happens on the screen. So I'm going to take a picture of the screen over here. Then I'm going to go to Pages, take a screenshot, and watch the notes down at watch the little screenshots down at the side. You see, as I take more and more pictures, you see there was about 4 or 5 images layered one on top of the other. So I can take a whole bunch of pictures, one after the other. And if I just let them go, they'll slide off and they'll go into the home screen. So you can take multiple pictures all at the same time. If I go to my photo library, there's all the photos, all the pictures that I just took. So multiple screenshots, just keep on sleep wake button and your home button, sleep wake and the volume up, and you're good to go. Now, that's one way of taking them. Now, if you've got an iPad running iPadOS 13 and a pencil, you can drag from the bottom right-hand corner or the bottom left-hand corner of your screen up with your pencil, and that takes a screenshot as well. Now, this gives us another sort of set of tools that we can actually start to work on our images with. I'm going to get to them in a second because I want to show you something else in the interim. At the moment, I just took a picture of the screen over there, right? That's all well and good. What happens if I wanted to, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to go into a web browser. And I've got a website called Macintosh. It's pretty much an old-fashioned website. It's not one of these clever ones where the images slide on the screen and slide off the screen. I want to take a screenshot of it. I'm going to use my pencil to slide up and down, slide in. And if you can see at the top of the image, I now have an image which has crop marks and it's got a series of tools. But if you can see at the top of the screen, it says screen or full page. If I tap on full page, I can actually get the entire web page. And if I finish this, it'll prompt me to save that as a PDF, not necessarily as an image file. So if I've got a website that I want to store, which has got a whole bunch of information, I don't necessarily have to print it out now. I can just save it as a PDF to files. And you can see down the right-hand side, you can see actually how long this is. If I scroll down, just move this off to the side. Let's put you on this side for the moment. Can you see the scroll bar on the right-hand side? So this is a long, long web page. I would have taken several screenshots if I wanted to do it, or printing it. And if I'd chosen print to PDF, I would have got page breaks because it's going through the print engine. If I want to go back to screen, I just tap on screen and there I'm good to go. The same thing works for, let's just delete that screenshot. If I'm in, let's say, a Pages document. Here's something that I'm working on for a webinar that not a webinar, a screencast that we're doing. And it's a 2-page document. If I take a screenshot of that, again, it's a multi-page document. So if I go full page, I can save this out as a PDF as well. If I click screen, when I'm finished, it'll save it to photos or save it to file. So multi-page, save to PDF, just an image. It's just a regular image file that I can add to my photos, or I could save to my files. Okay, so let's have a look at what we can do with the pencil. Right, I'm going to use this document that we've got on screen. And when we take a screenshot, you can, with the pencil, it immediately pops up a series of tools. Now, you can see just by dragging it around the screen, I can locate it to the bottom, to the top, to the right, to the left-hand side. And I have a series of built-in tools that will allow me to mark this document up. So let's go through them one at a time. Oh, and by the way, one of the things that I can do is, as I'm marking up this document, one of the tools I've got down here at the bottom right-hand corner is to auto minimize. So if you're worried about that toolbar getting in the way of what you're doing, just click auto minimize, and then when you've chosen your tool, whichever one it happens to be, when you start to work, it minimizes into the corner with the tool that you've got selected. I personally don't bother with that. So we've got our pen tool, we've got our highlighter tool, we have a pencil tool, we have an eraser, we have a selector, we have a ruler, we have a color palette. So if I select the pencil tool and then press again and release, I can choose different weights. So I can have a very thin pen, or I can have a really nice fat pen. And as you can see, it's kind of velocity and touch sensitive. So if I start and keep an even stroke, which looks pretty horrible, just undo that. Alternatively, if I press hard, and can you see the weight? I've got a different weight on my upstroke and my downstroke. So it's very sensitive, and it actually is pressure sensitive to what I'm doing. I can change my color. Let me just undo those. I can make it blue, red, try red again. Aim's not good, green. And if you're not happy with those colors, you've got a tool palette that let you select from about 150 different colors. So you've got nuance as well. You can choose different colors with it too. Okay, before we go any further into the tools as well, if you're using this to mark up this document, sometimes if the document is really busy and you want to accentuate the highlighting that you do, if you look just to the right of where it says full page up at the top, you can actually adjust the opacity. And what it does is it adjusts the opacity of the underlying image so that your markup becomes more prominent. So this is another little nice touch that's built into the screen markup. In fact, many of the tools you see are quite similar to the markup that Angelo showed us in preview and in mail the other day. So that's my pen tool. If I tap on the highlighter, it's really nice. We can highlight bits and pieces. If I want to scroll this document or zoom in, I can pinch in to get more detail. And then obviously if I used one finger, it would draw. So undo that. So if I use 2 fingers, it will allow me to move around so I can work in some detail on my screen. So I can do that sort of thing. So that's our highlighter. We can highlight in certain colors. We have the pencil tool, and the pencil tool is absolutely lovely because if I draw with a pencil, you can see it's very pencil-like. But if I take the pencil and turn it on its edge, I get a kind of shading tool. So all of that is supported. I mean, that's a feature of the pencil, but it's supported completely inside the operating system over here. The eraser tool has 2 modes. It has pixel erase or object erase. So if I've got pixel erase, it will allow me to erase individual pixels, just like you'd expect with a rubber. But on the other hand, if I choose object erase, all I have to do is tap the object and the whole thing disappears. So it gives me nice control over what I'm selecting. I also have a selection tool, and this only affects stuff that I've drawn on it, nothing on the underlying layer that I'm writing on top of. So if I just draw a little selection and I intersect with the hatching on the pencil over here, it selects the whole pencil, everything that I drew with the pencil, with the exception of the first bit I did. Now with that highlighted, I can tap it again, and I can copy, I can delete, I can duplicate. If I duplicate it, I now have 2 copies of that. Let's just undo that. Let's just select that again and delete that. So if I've got, say, a highlighter that I like the look of, for example, I can select this highlight, I can duplicate it, and then I can use that. I can select this guy and delete that. So I can keep a kind of consistent look to my highlighting if I want. Make sense? Cool. If there's any questions as I go along, guys, you know, we've got the Q&A going at the end. So that's our highlighter. The ruler is also super useful. If I tap on the ruler, I get a ruler that I can move around the screen. And then if I choose the pen, for example, let's make this blue, and I drag up, it gives me straight lines, and I can move this around the screen. Now, one of the cool things about this is if I use 2 fingers to rotate it, it gives me the degrees that the ruler is being rotated to. And when it gets to 45 and 90 degrees, it actually snaps to make it easy for me to do. So if I wanted to do an isosceles triangle, for example, I just drag this and set it to 60 degrees. And let's take that as red and turn the 60 degrees that way. Take this, draw it 60 degrees this, oh, take 0. Yeah, now I've got my triangle, but I don't want the extra things here. I don't want to be that precise. So now I'll go to my eraser. I'll choose pixel eraser. That's cool. I'll zoom in here, and now I can just wipe. Let's just do some close work there, and then as I zoom out, my eraser gets bigger and bigger. So good fun with the lines, with the tools. I can use the pencil, I can use the highlighter, I can use all of the tools with the ruler. Let's tap the ruler again to get rid of it. If I look at the plus button down in the bottom left-hand corner, I can add text. There's a little text tool over there, and I can edit it and say, this is some markup. And again, I can tap that, I can move it around the screen, I can change the size. There's only 3 typefaces available, but I can change the size, I can change my alignment. So I've got some rudimentary text tools over there. That's one. I can put my signature in. Remember Angelo's thing on signature? Exactly the same thing. So I've got my signature over here. And because, you know, when you write your signature, it's never the same twice. I like to have more than one. And if you're initialing a document, it always looks very different. So I don't want the same one all the time. So there's my initial, good to go with that one. Let's tap signature again. There's my other initial. And you can resize these again. Finally, penultimately, we've got some primitives. So we've got rectangles, circles, etc. We've got arrows that we can add, and these arrows are movable. We can change the angle of it, so it can be a straight image, a straight arrow, or we can do that sort of thing. And the other thing that we've got, which is also built into preview, was the magnifier tool. Now with the magnifier tool, I can move this tool to wherever I want to on the screen. I can resize it by pulling on the blue dot, and I can control my zoom level by rotating the green dot. So if I wanted to highlight maybe my signature up there, I can just take this and I can move it up there. Let's just zoom out a little bit. And there's a zoomed in version of my signature. A couple of other nuances to it. If you look at the tool palette on the right side, up at the top near the undo button, I can tap on that. I can change the thickness of the outline of the loop tool, the magnifying tool, and I can also change the color to make it stand out more. So I have a very messy document over here, but as you can see, there's an incredible amount that I can do. And I'm way over my time over here at the moment. I had a horrible feeling about this. I thought, how am I going to fill up 20 minutes of taking screen recordings and this, and I haven't even got to the screen recordings yet, and we're already at the 20-minute mark. So guys, if you want to drop out, that's okay, but I'm gonna press on. So that's pretty much chapter and verse on your screen recordings. When I've done this, so this one is a screen. If I tap done, I can either save it to my files, right? I don't know how familiar you are with the Files app, but we've got a file structure on iPadOS, similar to the Finder in the Mac, where I can save my files where I want to. I can save it to my photos, go straight to my photo library. And if I do that, I'm going to do that right now, save it to my photos. If I go to my photo library and go to my albums, you'll see it's the most recent one in my all photos over here. There's the picture that we just worked on. But we also have a special album. If we go down to the bottom over here, you can see there's a screenshots one, right at the bottom now. If I tap on that, there's all the screenshots I've taken, including the image that we just done. So the iPadOS actually is aware of whether this is video, whether it's a screenshot, whether it's a photograph, and will put it into the appropriate location to help you, save you looking for it. So that's your screenshots. Let's move over to screen recording, and I'm going to have to switch cameras now. So if you bear with me for a second. Just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm connecting my iPad to, let's just switch that off. I'm connecting my iPad to a USB-C dock. And the USB-C dock is connected to a monitor, and I also got a camera connected to my Mac. So now I'm literally just going to go to my video and switch cameras. Now, the reason why you can't see anything at the moment is because I've got the virtual screen turned on. So let's get the virtual background turned off. And there is my screen. Now, the reason I've had to do this is if you're sharing your screen either with AirPlay or the connector, you can't show screen recording. So I've had to come up with this kind of Heath Robinson-y kind of effect. How many of you, just maybe show a quick show of hands, how many of you have recorded your screens on your iPad? Nobody yet? Okay, Tim, I see you. Thank you, Tim. Thumbs up. Okay, so the quickest way to record your screen is through the control center. So I'll come to my control center, and there's no screen record tool there. So what you have to do is, firstly, you go to your settings, you go to control center, and where it says customize controls on the right, you take the screen recording tool and you add it to your set of tools. You can adjust where it lives inside it, but I'm going to leave it at the bottom at the moment. Now, if I go back to my home screen, if I pull down now, can you see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's that little dot over there? And let's see what happens when firstly, if I press it, it's just going to start to record. But if I press and hold on it, I get some options. So by default, anything you record will go straight into your photo library. Just like your pictures. On the other hand, if you've got some tools that allow you to do screen sharing, like Zoom, like WebEx, like Skype, like Microsoft Teams, like you can see, I've got quite a few over here. If I choose Zoom, it will take what I'm recording and broadcast it straight to my screen. Okay, so there's quite a lot of nice things that you can do with that. For the moment though, I'm just going to use the photos. And if I tap start recording, that's exactly what it's going to do. I tap start recording, and it gives you a countdown so that you can have a bit of time to get things set up. And now you can see it's counting down, but if I tap away and get rid of my control center, can you see in the top right-hand corner, we've got this red dot. That red dot tells me we're recording. So I'm going to do a quick demo. I'm going to go to Safari, and I'm going to show you how to do multitasking. I'm going to take my music library and I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to leave it into slide overview. It's just going to bring some music up on the right-hand side. But while it's doing that, I'm going to show you how you go from slide over into side by side. So let's just pull that down, push it to the right. And now we're in split view. I can move that off to the side. It's still recording what I'm doing. I can pull this off to the side. Well, you know what? I just want my Safari browser back there. Okay, to finish the screen recording, I'm going to tap on the red dot, stop the recording. And now, depending on the length of the recording that you've done, this can take, that took what, 4 or 5 seconds? It's saved into my photo library. But if I filmed for half an hour, it might take 30 seconds before it gives me the alert. If I was to tap on that message that popped down that said it was in the screen recording, it would have taken me straight to my photo library. So let's go into my photo library. And once again, if I go to all, you'll see at the bottom there, the last thing is a 55-second recording. If I was to tap on that and tap play, you can see this is, I'm not doing anything, it's just playing back. Now, if I tap at the bottom, you can see that little play, oh, you can't see it on your screen actually. There's a little play bar at the bottom which will allow me to scrub and go forward and backwards at speed. So it's a little scrub bar that lets me just go through these over here. Okay, so, okay, I've been going backwards and forwards on them. You guys can still see my screen, right? I've never done this before live over a webinar. I want to make sure that it's working okay. Let's just stop that. I'm going to go out of here and go back to my photos. Okay, so let's have a look at what we can do over here. If you can't see it on the screen, but there's a menu bar at the top and there's a scrub bar. It's because I'm attached to a second screen. Now it's another limitation over here. It doesn't show you all the edit tools. But if I tap on edit, which is in the top right-hand corner, that you can see. So now I've got quite a lot of things that I can do to this video that I've just recorded. I can trim it. So if I tap on the bottom trim bar, I can, again, go forward and backwards. If I tap at the beginning, I can get rid of that little grayed out area. You know, at the beginning when we started, it's got the countdown. There we go. So I can trim that. And if I don't want to end over there, I can end it over here. If I tap done, it will trim it. So that's trimming. You've seen how to do that in on the Mac as well. Now, if I go to my color adjustments, this is not the best one to show. Why don't I open up another one? Because the colors that you get inside a screen recording is not brilliant. Let's take this little shot of the this morning's wind. So I'm going to edit this. Just download quickly, hopefully quickly. No, this is taking too long. Sorry. I'm going to go back to, because I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to go back to this video, tap edit. So if I tap on colors, I can auto adjust the color. If you look at the tools on the right-hand side, I can change the exposure. I can increase the exposure, decrease the exposure. I can bring out the highlights. So if it's clouds and it's all white and I can't see any detail in the clouds, I can bring out the highlights in the clouds. Similarly for shadows, I can bring out highlights in the shadows. It doesn't really show that well on a screenshot. Excuse me. I can adjust my contrast, my brightness, the black point, which is how much detail I get in the blacks. I can adjust the saturation, make it black and white, make it super, super rich. The warmth, the sharpness. Let's make it super sharp. Finally, we've got sharpness, we've got definition, we've got noise reduction, and we've got vignette, which is the ability to just put a little shadow around the outside, either a dark shadow or a white shadow, depending on which direction I go. Very popular in the 90s, not so popular in the 2020s. If I tap away, let's just get this image. So we've got that done. We have a series of filters. And just like you've seen with all the other tools we've got, like we saw on clips, we've got black and white. You've got dramatic warmth, vivid cool, or nothing. So if it's a footage of people, we're good to go. The crop tool is quite interesting because we can crop our video. So let's have a look. Starting from the top left-hand corner, we can flip it horizontally. We can rotate it in 90-degree steps, or we can just manually crop this. So if I just wanted to get rid of everything except 2/3 of the screen, I could crop this and we'd crop the entire video. But what's particularly nice about this is if you look at the top right-hand corner, you've got the done button, the ellipsis, and then there's this little series of rectangles inside each other. If I tap on that, at the bottom, it gives me some predefined sizes. So if I wanted to do some titling or something like that, that I wanted to put in front of a video, and I knew that my video was 16:9 aspect ratio, I can tap on 16:9 and it adjusts my crop tool to be exactly that size. So I can now zoom in and zoom out, and whatever I had inside there when I'm finished with it will be 16:9. It'll fit in perfectly with the video footage that I've shot. And you've got 10:8, 7:5, 4:3, the most common ones being 16:9 or 4:3, because that's the old screen resolutions. But you can also make it square if you want to be an Instagram person. And there you go, there's an Instagram one. So cropping is pretty useful. We're coming to the end. One of the really nice things about this is it's coming to the Mac as well. You find more and more of it in the Mac, but it was introduced in the iPad first. If you've got a program that has some facilities or functionality that can be used by another program, Apple have made it possible for the programmers to declare the functions that are available and make it available to you. So between the done button and the crop tool is this little ellipsis. And if I tap on it, you can see that iMovie is one of the programs that's saying, hey, I've got stuff that you can use. So there's no titling features inside the screen recorder. You don't even get those edit tools, those markup tools that we've got. But I want to get some titles in there. So I tap on iMovie, and if the demo gods are with me, the spinning beach ball will go for a few seconds, and then I should get a series of tools that are available to me from iMovie. There we go. So now you see along the bottom, instead of the tools that I had previously, like my crop rotation, etc., I've got my title tools from inside iMovie. So if I wanted to put some titles in here, I can just select this and go screen recording. Federico Fellini. Okay, and if I play this back, you'll see a really nice bit of titling over there. And if I tap done, it exports the movie back to my camera roll, my photo library. Okay, so we're back in the photo library. Let's just tap done. And can you see over there? Let's just start from the beginning again. There's my titles, right? Which is really cool. So now that we're back in our photo library, I can do all the things that I expected to be able to do. I can add it to albums. I can send it to schoolwork if I'm a teacher. I can send it to OneNote. I can share it with my notes. I can mail it. I can message it. I can airdrop it. All of the things that one would expect to be able to do with a video that's in my photo library. And just to cap it off all at the end, we've done some titling, we've done some cropping, but none of this is destructive. Because if I choose to go back and edit it, can you see in the top right-hand corner? I don't know if you can read it well enough. It says revert. If I tap revert, it sets it back to the original, and now I have exactly the same footage that I had in the first instance. So that is my screen recording and screenshots on iPadOS. You can do most of what you've seen over here with iOS on your phone as well. And I'm just going to switch cameras and open it up to questions. And I'm just going to unmute.
Any questions? Margie.
Margie, go ahead.
Okay.
There you go. Yep.
Sorry about that. I missed the start. I didn't get whether you were actually using your fingers or you actually were using a pencil to do it, or do you click on something and then click on the pencil?
So the very first part that I did, I used the buttons to do the screen recording, the screenshot. The second part, I used the pencil, literally drag from the bottom right-hand corner. Let me see if I can just turn. I'm just going to switch cameras for a second.
So that is the iPad pencil.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's my iPad. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my pencil. I'm just going to go to the bottom right-hand corner and drag up, and it gets into screenshot mode.
Okay. So then you use the pencil to click on those icons.
Yeah, I can use my fingers as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can use the pencil too.
Okay. So you drew with the pencil on your actual iPad.
The very first thing I did was my finger, but everything else was the pencil.
Okay. Can you do it either way?
No, I don't think it responds to, let me just delete the screenshot. No, if you want to take a screenshot by that gesture, you have to use a pencil. Otherwise, it's sleep wake button and the home button. If your iPad has a home button, otherwise it's a sleep wake button and the volume up button.
Okay. And then I'd love something on Keynote, as we discussed last time, but also albums, photo albums. I mean, I go in there, I'm totally lost. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Okay, absolutely. And you want to make a note? That would make quite a nice short one.
Thank you.
Lovely. Okay, Margie. All good. Have a lovely afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Cheers.